We're about to ascend as we watch I Would Hit Myself in the Face with a Hammer, Michael Knowles and the Looks Maxer. This is an interview with Clavicular.
Looks maxing is the furthest extent that you could take self-improvement. This principle follows Wolff's law that a bone is going to grow back stronger.
You would hit yourself in the head with a hammer.
Yeah, bone smashing is legit.
So based.
Yeah.
But there are different ways you can improve yourself.
Right, but what's going to actually get you further in life?
What is looking better
The hammer.
for?
I'm someone who just wants to mog, essentially. I'm getting a double jaw surgery in a couple weeks from now, so that's probably the furthest.
I don't buy that shit. I'm calling his bluff. I don't think he's ever getting double jaw surgery. The only person who's getting that is Jake Paul.
It goes.
You do meth.
Maybe I traded like some neurotoxicity for temporary leanness to ascend really quickly.
On Michael And, I've had the privilege of sitting down with people from a wide variety of backgrounds. Priests, exorcists, scientists, refugees. Never before, though, have I sat down with a looks-maxed meth head live stream cell.
I think I'm a live stream cell.
And I have that distinct privilege today with my new friend, Clavicular.
How's it going?
Mr. Icular, it's wonderful to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Mike.
There is so much I want to get into with you.
Okay.
Even all those parts of...
Nobody talks about this, but I think a large part of Clav's success is that he speaks pretty well.
your title. But I want to start with the most obvious, the most apparent to most people, which is that you're a good-looking guy. I don't think that makes me gay to say you're a good-looking guy. You have intentionally become a good-looking guy. Mm-hmm. You have looks maxed.
That's the gayest thing I've ever heard.
Right.
What is looks maxing?
Looks maxing is the furthest.
Why does he wear ninth grader clothing? I think it's because he leans into the prep aesthetic. Collared shirts, form-fitting for the physique, Americana fashion.
Extent that you could take self-improvement, right? So we've seen a lot of, different forms of that over the years, mostly with bodybuilding. I would say was
He could afford Ralph. And if I were him, that's exactly where I'm going. Purple label, head to toe. He'd pull it off.
The main one for a while for men, from about 2010 up until...
I mean, like it or not, dressing preppy never really goes out of style. He's onto something.
2020. And then it sort of shifted into looks maxing. That kind of crept into the space from different niche, forums, especially those of PSL, which was just three.
Pumpkin spice latte, obviously.
No, just 3 looks maxing forums. So that influence kind of crept in.
It's like, what are you going to get on my ass for looking swagged out? For looking prim and proper? For dressing like an adult? It's kind of bulletproof. Oh my God, you're so prepped. It's like, what?
And it's very obvious that, the face is more important than the physique. So people were doing the self-improvement, and it wasn't really getting them the results that they needed. So that's why the further step needed to be taken to sort of go about improving upon your entire life.
So there are all these bodybuilding forums, and you say, well, what about this phrase, the butter face? But you hear about the butt. You never hear about butter body.
Uh-huh.
So you draw the conclusion from that, hey, you guys are all working out to build up your bodies, but the face is more...
Yeah, there's not a gym for your face. I mean, a modern-day looks maxer would disagree. I mean, I've been talking about this shit for over 6 years now. I saw this wave coming.
Important to physical attractiveness.
Absolutely.
So that's what...
Dude, your muscles are so big and you're so strong, but you're fucking ugly. That's got to be rough.
Distinguishes just working out and hitting the gym and bodybuilding from looks maxing.
It's just adding an extra layer, right? I'm someone who hugely advocates for still going to the gym, even though I might have been taking a little bit of time off recently.
I've taken about a decade or so off.
Yeah, so no worries. We're on the same page there. But I'm just adding that extra layer, that extra piece of key nuance that I feel like has been out of the equation for the longest time, especially in a lot of like the manosphere discussion. Looks hasn't really been... mentioned, and it just seems kind of silly to me.
Because it's elitist, and when it comes to like the manosphere on the internet, it has to appeal to a wide majority of people, including a bunch of ugly losers. So it alienates a large part of a potential audience or market, which could be problematic for making maximum money.
Can I ask how old you are?
19.
You're 19.
Correct.
So you're very young.
Yep.
And you're talking about this development of the looks maxing, self-improvement world. When did you get into this?
When I was 14 years old, I was someone who was on these bodybuilding forums. I started taking exogenous hormones, testosterone, when I was 14.
That is preposterous. But I knew kids in high school who were blasting roids. And you got to think they were 14, 15, 16 years old.
And then it became more of a shift from bodybuilding-oriented stuff, like we talked about before. I'd say this happened to a lot of people, into more looks maxing stuff over the years.
You're 14. You're going through puberty. You're getting a nice injection of testosterone the old-fashioned way. Why did you do that?
For facial masculinization, just optimizing all of my growth pathways so that I could have like a super physiological puberty, right? So, you could do a lot with pharmaceutical intervention. So taking those steps at an early age is kind of like it's a now or never mentality.
This is virilization. It's the enhancement of masculine features, right? So if you take testosterone, especially during development, this is not medical advice, but this is the thought process that he's describing. Perhaps it can thicken certain features like your neck, your jawline, maybe even your vocal cords.
Right? So once your growth plate's closed, there's nothing you could do.
What's so fascinating about that answer is that's like the right-wing version of the transgender argument. The pro-trans people are always saying, I got to take the cross-sex hormones when I'm 13 or 14 because if I wait until...
Technically, this is gender-affirming care. When we talk about transgender hormonal therapy, HRT, we're not affirming the gender. We're doing the opposite. Because if you're a man and you think you're a woman and then you start taking estrogen, you're not affirming your manhood. You're flipping the script. You're switching sides. You're changing teams. So technically, this is gender-affirming care. What about the PP? I have no idea the effects of TRT and or roids on the PP. Now, I will say, it does shrink your balls, supposedly. But other people think that it upregulates DHT, which actually increases the size of the PP. So there's debate there, and I'm not going to be the one to figure it out. I've seen enough PPs in my days.
Till I'm 18 or 20, it'll be all closed off and I'll never look like the opposite sex. And what you're saying is, well, I had to take all...
But looks maxers have an entire protocol for length maxing and girth maxing. They wear extenders. They use pumps.
These exogenous hormones when I was 14 so that I could look like the most gigachad version of my own sex.
Right. Yeah, no, of course. So it's the exact opposite. And you'll hear a lot of criticism for like the stuff that I talk about from the left, which is quite ironic. So I'm glad you brought that up.
So what does it mean? So you start taking testosterone.
Right.
Okay, before we get into what your parents said about this, what your doctors said or didn't say about this, you're a 14-year-old kid. 14-year-olds go through a lot of problems, a lot of self-image issues, girls and boys. Why did you do this when most 14-year-olds don't?
Well,
The internet.
so I'm a bit of an autist, right? So I was just like, there's this thing that could get me to my desired physique quicker.
I actually don't think he's autistic. I think he's using it in a tongue-in-cheek, modern, vernacular way. It's like, I'm autistic about it. It means that you're just hyper-fixated. You don't have to actually be neurodivergent.
Like, why wouldn't I do that? It wasn't like your typical 14-year-old who goes on Instagram and sees like, a picture of David Lade or like Chris Bumstead and it's like, oh, like I want to look like that guy. I'm just like, well, objectively, this is going to get me there quicker. So why would I not,
Are there...
He's just speed-running results.
The mentality.
Are there downsides there? Are there side effects?
Of course. Yeah, no. So there's a lot that can go wrong if you're not very careful with, using anabolic steroids, obviously. So I was someone who did my due diligence and made sure things didn't go horribly wrong. There's certainly things I could have went about better. And I wish I had a more comprehensive understanding before I, decided to go this route. But, we're here now. And for those reasons, with how complex it is, I don't openly advocate for anyone to do this, right? I think a lot more people are going to wind up fucking themselves over or excuse me, screwing themselves over if they are to go this route rather than,
What a wholesome Chungus. He corrected his curse word.
if they were to decide, to stay natural.
What do you regret? You say there's some things I wish I'd done differently, would have turned out differently.
Just not taking certain pharmaceuticals. I wish I would have, had a little bit more IGF-1 in the protocol.
It's actually a fascinating conversation. And part of the reason why he's so popular is because he just doesn't give a fuck about anything. Which is kind of inspiring in some weird dystopian way. Like, I don't think people knew it was possible to give this little of a fuck before bro came out of the woodwork.
Just for example,
What's the effect of that, though?
IGF-1 is, an important hormone for development. So just if I were to take that, that would be a little bit better, but I couldn't afford it at the time. So I would have just gone about that a little different.
But there was nothing where you'd say, I really messed this part of my body up. You just say, I wish I'd gone further.
Right, yeah.
So you start taking these steroids. Are you still taking them?
Yes, I'm just on TRT.
What's TRT?
Not a very emotional guy. Yeah. All facts and logic. Zero empathy.
Testosterone replacement
Yes,
therapy.
yeah, okay. You hear about like 50-year-old guys doing that.
Yeah, well, it seems a little ridiculous that to optimize my testosterone levels to where they realistically...
See, this is a dangerous game. Optimization, super physiological. Bro's baseline is already nuclear. We don't know what he would have turned out to be like if he didn't do these protocols.
should be. As a male, I have to wait until I'm like 30 years old is like the common cope that you hear on the internet. And testosterone levels have been declining rapidly across generations. So I'm kind of just placing myself where we, evolutionarily should be.
Okay, so looks maxing then.
That's cope. That's victim coded. I am a product of my environment. Levels are low across the board. Therefore, I should do this thing. That's justification.
Is when you shoot up a bunch of pharmaceuticals.
No, that's not that's my iteration of looks maxing is just kind of doing whatever it takes, like the rich piano mentality. That's not really what I advocate for because again, with all these complexities, you could wind up fucking yourself over.
He's actually name dropping like core pillars in the fitness industry. It's refreshing. As if Michael knows who Rich Piana is.
And
How so?
well, take testosterone, for example. You could deal with hair loss issues. You could deal with acne. You could deal with gynecomastia. You have to really carefully manage a ton of different hormones and a ton of different interactions inside your body.
You have to forgive my ignorance. I know nothing about this. What is gynecomastia?
Female breast tissue, rock hard nipples.
That is, the glandular tissue and your nipples growing.
Yeah.
So I think the term
Testosterone aromatases.
I've heard a lot of people use is so
Yeah, no, I don't want that.
yeah, so you don't want that. That's what I mean. And if people are just go around blasting tests without a comprehensive understanding of this stuff, that's what would happen. But there are mechanisms that you could leverage to make sure this doesn't occur. But once again, most people won't have the foresight to go about it the right way.
So when you learn all this stuff online and you're on all these forums and you say, okay, this is how I'm going to look really good, and you start getting the testosterone, what did your parents ever object to that? Or?
Yeah, they would take it away all the time. And
Where did you get it?
Just on the internet. So yeah, there was like a time where I went like hypogonadal for a month or two just because they took my testosterone stash, but I made sure that
He got his TRT, essentially roid stack, confiscated, and as a growing teen went hypogonadal, meaning he stopped producing testosterone. He didn't have the exogenous testosterone to inject. Mom, if you don't give me my Chad medicine, I'm gonna die.
never happened again.
Hypergonadal?
Hypogonadal, like I didn't have any testosterone production, just for like a month or two. And that was probably the worst 2 months of my life.
Yeah.
Having zero male sex hormone, you have no libido, no sex drive. So yeah, just making sure to avoid that is very important.
So your parents, you get into this on the internet, you order the drugs on the internet, you start taking the drugs, your parents finally find out about this and they say, hey, stop doing that. What did they tell you?
Well, they would just take it away, say no more steroids, like take away the Xbox Classic.
No more steroids. You know, it is fascinating because in high school you'll have delinquents, smoking weed, drinking, but then we draw the line at roids, obviously, different class of substances, but one could make an argument that it's not all that different. I don't know. I wouldn't make that argument. Some people probably would.
Stuff, but I'm just someone who is willing to do whatever needs to be done. So I would just reorder it.
Because there are high school athletes that are 100% on roids. Perhaps they have parents that put them on the juice pack young, or even on their own volition have ordered this shit and taken it to secure D1 scholarships, or even just to crush their competition in whatever sport. Coaches even.
A P.O. box instead. Like, a lot of people will come after my parents for the things that I did, but realistically, no one was stopping me. I was committed to my goal, and I wasn't going to let anyone get away.
So why would
you decided to not Clavicular your room? You're grounded from trend for 3 months.
is that your goal? Because I see the point on self-improvement, and ambitious young men want to improve themselves. But there are different ways you can improve yourself. There's the physical way, there's spiritual improvement, there's mental improvement, there's, all sorts of improvement.
Right, but what's going to actually get you further in life? What's going to get you opportunities in the workplace? What's going to get you, dates, with prettier women? It's going to be looks 100 times over, and there's really no denying that with a lot of the recent, self-report studies we've seen.
See, this is the epitome of doing too much and scaring the hoes. Because although there may be a truth in that good-looking people, the halo effect, they get more opportunities. If you make that your entire life, like you're just looking down the barrel of perpetual insecurity and neuroticism.
Research from the dating apps that's been released. So I would say that looks is just the most important metric, and it's arguably one of the easier things that you could maximize.
What's very interesting about what you said is, we'll get back to all these ultimate goals, but just on the dating point, you say, look, what matters in dating is looks. And that has been true for all of history to some degree. But I think
first, secure the bag. Yeah, it's an interesting tech. If you secure the bag, you could definitely looks max. Get your teeth done, whiten them, proper haircut, nice fitting clothing. You have time to exercise, get right. We see this happen a lot with especially tech people and billionaires. They almost speed run the entire thing. If you guys want to see the craziest, in my opinion, looks maxing transformation, I'm about to show it to you. The guy that's all about sleep, I forget his name. I saw this on X a couple weeks ago, and I fucking lost it. I lost it. Let me see if I can find the guy's name. Yes, Matthew Walker, the guy that's all about sleep. Look at this shit. Oh my God. Oh my God. That is insane. That's the same guy. Yeah. Chadley Cooper 2.0. Bro, this guy got some quality sleep in. That's the same guy.
The lack of sleep that you may be getting is a stronger predictor of your lifespan than either a poor diet or even poor amounts of physical activity. What did the scientists do? Well, they looked at it.
He looks like a mini Mike O'Hearn, bro. That is insane.
I think it's truer today than it was 30 years ago. Because I'll give you an example.
He went to sleep and woke up ascended.
I went to a prestigious university where you got a lot of guys who graduate. I'm talking about the parents of my classmates. A lot of the guys, they don't look good, but a lot of them become very rich. And we would sometimes joke that the girls who...
That's what 8 sleep does to a motherfucker. 0 plastic surgery.
Went to this school, looked kind of like aliens because they had these supermodel moms and these fat, ugly dads. But the dads were really rich. And so...
that's a common stereotype, right? You have the hyper-successful man who literally looks like a slob with an absolute baddie, but because he's got a lot of resources and security, these women will tolerate a marriage with them and then cheat on them with the pool boy. It's a tale as old as time.
Listen, it's a little bit of a stereotype. Plenty of people did not fit the stereotype. But when you think of generations past, There are plenty of not so great looking guys who ended up with beautiful women for reasons of, I don't know, social rights and rituals, for reasons of money, for reasons of class status, for reasons of profession, whatever. They didn't have the dating apps. And so even that, you get into looks maxing because of the online forums, you get the drugs for looks maxing because of the internet marketplaces.
See, online dating, inherently not for me. I know it can work for some people, but spiritually it doesn't sit right with me for whatever reason. Therefore, I never really engaged with it. But to use online dating as a focus group and then paint a generalization about like how times are so, like that's a skill issue, to be honest. That's not reality. That's a niche.
And you say the reason I need to looks max is because all the dating takes place online where you're reduced to a picture.
Right. Of course. And that's something that often gets brought up to me. And here's my response to the whole thing about money would be, what's more likely for the average guy? Because I think of things in sociological terms. I think that's very interesting to me. Just look at men across the society. What's more likely? Someone to ascend from maybe, slightly below average to above average through looks maxing, or for them to achieve that desired amount of wealth for a supermodel to date them? It just seems like, we should be telling people to go the looks route.
Why?
Because it's easier.
Or both. Get your money up. Have some self-respect. I don't know if you got to hit yourself in the face with a hammer.
It's more realistic.
Is it cheap to looks max, or does it cost money?
It's just more achievable. People with
I'm just saying, how much do these drugs cost?
not much. It's not really that difficult. It's more of a time investment, but someone is likely going to lack the intellect to be able to achieve this status max, to achieve, income max. So just across the society.
Damn, you're hard capped because you don't have the intellect. So you might as well start looks maxing.
I would say we should be advocating for looks.
I'm not sure I agree with you that it's easier to look better than it is to make some money or do well in your job or what have you. I mean, there are plenty of people at the top of their profession, whatever that profession is, blue collar, white collar, people who would be considered by some metric elite, who are not that intelligent, who probably don't have a very high IQ, but who work very hard, who are clever, who are scrappy, who are hustlers.
Industrious, high agency, lucky.
Well, we're talking about across the society, not just like a couple anecdotes of maybe some dumb blue collar like brute, maybe owning his own company. So that just seems a little bit ridiculous to me, to suggest that it would be easier to jump 20 percentiles in terms of income or status than in looks.
I guess the reason,
Some dumb blue collar brute. You can't make this up.
I think across the society that I'm skeptical of this. Not just the brute who ends up with his own company, but
More work? Okay. I'm just picturing like an orc peon from WoW.
people who, across industries and class strata. I know way more rich guys than I know really good-looking guys. And I think we see more rich guys in society than we see good-looking guys. So all things else being equal, if you just want to, attract a chick, and I guess the reason I'm pushing on this point is, when you learn how to do well in your job, when you learn how to cultivate some skill that the marketplace rewards, aren't you improving yourself in other ways that just enhancing your bone structure does not?
Absolutely. No, and you're fully right. And before we go any further down this rabbit hole, I don't want to act like these two forms of improvement are mutually exclusive whatsoever. I advocate for all the same stuff you're talking about. I think that, learning a high value skill is one of the most important things that you could do. I'm just saying that it's going to be easier for you to actually ascend and overcome a lot of the disparities in the dating market through looks. I'm not saying neglect getting rich, neglect, your status. That would be absolutely ridiculous for me to suggest. So I'm saying a well-rounded mogger is kind of required.
A well-rounded mogger. I mean, yeah, it's me. That's what I do. Got to cover all angles. Why would I be deficient?
How difficult the scene is these days.
I grant. I sometimes think that I got the last chopper out of Nam, because I'm a millennial and I was single for a bit, and I always liked dating when I was single, but I, married the love of my life, and we have this great life. And I think, man, if I had to date in the year
A neurotoxic, well-rounded, mogging chungus. That's what I'm trying to be.
of our Lord 2025, I would be very upset. I would have to learn how to mog. I would have to learn how to mew. I would have to learn all these skills
That's
that
right. 100%.
I don't possess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that the main reason that is because of Instagram, right? And a lot of people don't understand the implications of, access to the internet and access to communicating with everyone across the entire world, essentially. So what that looks like in terms of a hypergamy standpoint was, maybe you had a girl from your town who's going to try to date above her looks level, maybe just in her immediate surroundings. But now we've got people like, professional athletes DMing them on Instagram, flying them out. So you're not just competing with the top chads of your 15-mile radius, you're competing with the entire world. So
All these status maxers are in my girl's DMs.
it's
The Chads of the world, maybe who even live in Chad,
yeah,
the nation of Chad.
You got no idea. Well, I doubt
I don't know about you guys, but I'm top Chad in my radius.
it. But so it's become
Bro said I doubt it. Let's unpack that one. Why wouldn't they be located in Africa?
increasingly difficult to compete as like the average guy. So there's this purgatory zone where even someone who's average to above average could be struggling to secure a long-term relationship a lot of the times, and that's like really alarming.
This is very interesting because the observation you're making pertains to the economic discussion too. A lot of
I
the
like how there's gym equipment behind them. Meanwhile, Clav literally hates working out because it's hard. And Michael Knowles looks like he's allergic to lifting weights.
debates over free trade and economic policy in the last 10 years have revolved around the peril
Michael Knowles looks like the type of guy to work out at a hotel gym and just do crunches and then leave.
of globalization. Previously, you only had to compete against your countrymen. Now you got to compete against your countrymen, the flood of foreigners that comes in across an open border, and a globalized world with jobs being outsourced all over the globe.
I don't know, I'm not competing with a bunch of migrants. Like what? It just got political so quick.
Yeah, exactly. Very similar. But yeah, no, even if it was just domestically, things are really bad. Like when you've got girls being like flown out by like Shaquille O'Neal, and you're just an average guy making, maybe $80,000 a year. Like, what are you supposed to do?
Does that happen? Does Shaquille O'Neal fly out girls from Palookaville?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Does he really, or is that the thing? It's a fun story, and I guess it could happen. But does that really happen?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I've seen professional athletes like following like girls I knew from like my hometown. Like this is like a very common thing because with how degenerate the society has moved, these girls are taking on so many different sexual partners that, that there's a lot of, plausibility for this kind of stuff.
So the promiscuity is a major problem. I mean,
Right.
on a whole host
These chicks have been flown out since the dawn of flying.
of social levels. But what you're telling me is looks maxing is chiefly about getting a girlfriend.
The Wright brothers had puss on the second plane. You already know.
No. Your looks are going to improve your quality of life in a lot of different regards, whether it be in the workplace, just overall opportunities presented to you. This is all going to be tailored to looks. And the main thing that you need to understand is the halo effect. I don't know if you've heard about this.
What is the halo effect?
The halo effect is that people are going to perceive the things that you say and the things that you do a lot better if you're good looking. Right?
Yeah.
So
There's like that meme where some
That's true.
really good-looking guy goes up and he's like, "Hey, Shelly, nice dress today." And she's like, "Oh,
Right.
thanks, Giga Chat." And then some
Exactly.
like fat guy walks up. He's like, "Nice dress, Shelly." And she's like, "Hello, HR."
Exactly. Yeah. So no, that's a pinnacle example of the halo effect and what that looks like. So if you've got to be this fat slob who's getting
This is more true if you're tall. That's why you got to go to Russia and snap your limbs and get the height mogging surgery.
HR complaints for shit that you saw, another guy do 2 seconds ago, that's got to be quite brutal. So just your overall well-being, if you're an
I mean, I don't even think he's good looking. And I'm pretty zesty, I can call out when another man is handsome. But with Luigi Mangione, he's got people fawning for him. If that's not the halo effect in real time, then I don't know what is.
attractive person and no one even wants to look at you
He's not even Chad Light.
in the elevator, no one even wants to shake your hand or acknowledge you. It's horrible for your mental well-being, and that's why I think looks maxing goes a lot further than just getting a girlfriend. Like that seems like a very silly thing to do all
At
this
least, though,
effort.
you would have to say the thesis of looks maxing is that looks are the most important thing in life.
Yeah.
What about the non-physical things? You know, I'm a little older than you, and when
Gay, fake, not real.
I was a kid, we were told looks aren't everything. Don't judge a book by its cover. It's what's on the inside
Cope.
that counts. Christianity and religion generally teaches us that there is more to life than the material aspects
He said a little older, bro's 35.
of this world, and we need to focus on the spirit. And
Yeah, no, absolutely. But the thing is, your subconscious tells you.
See, Michael Knowles is 8 years older than me, but he seems 30 years older than me. I don't get it. Maybe it's the way he carries himself. He's very professional as a person and sophisticated, perhaps, but very vanilla. No spice, no pepper, no edge.
If someone is genetically disfortunate, that they are lesser than you, and you have to kind of fight that if you're thinking in terms of Christianity, to acknowledge them as an equal. So if you've got to go against your biological instincts to have a belief system, it already kind of just makes it a little bit difficult,
Yeah, but don't we do that in a whole host of ways? I believe in original sin, and
Do you believe in physiognomy?
concupiscence. I think it's a fallen world, and so sometimes people drive me crazy, and I kind of want to murder them. My biology, or some fallen aspect of my nature, urges me to murder them, or to go sleep with 100 other women who aren't my wife, or to eat
Hey, yo, Michael's got that dog in him, bro.
10 more cupcakes off the table. And I have to fight against that just as I fight against
But Jesus wasn't fat, was he, Michael? No, he was actually fucking ripped.
all sin.
But what's easier, to convince every single person?
And technically, Jesus was pretty looks maxed, if not the pinnacle. I mean, there's many accounts of him having golden hair, fair complexion. Not saying that that's the ideal, but he was known for his beauty.
In the state or in the United States, to treat everyone equally based on looks and really fight their biological instincts, or to individually improve yourself so that you don't have to?
Well, I guess maybe the question then becomes over the improvement, because you've already granted that some of these drugs that you're taking, they might have negative side effects. Now, is looks maxing all just drugs? Or
No,
is there
no. That's,
what else is there to it?
so there's a lot of stuff about coloring, being tanner. It could even be as simple as
Is tan good?
tanning.
Yes.
Well, the UV damage and UV exposure can certainly.
Even Jesus had to looks max to be taken seriously.
I'm saying from the looks max perspective, do people like the tanner people or the whiter people?
The tanner people, actually, and they've done a lot of different surveying about this. Usually, tanned European.
I'll tell you, when I get tan, when I get a nice glow going, I'm feeling good about myself. Pale? Nah, there's no life. I look like a corpse.
Phenotypes are the most ideal. So,
Because you would think, oh, maybe this is just racist, but you would I thought the idea was people value whiteness more, and that's one of the great sins of our culture.
No, Michael, that's fake and gay. Okay, come on, get with the times.
Is that whiteness is considered more beautiful than brownness or blackness? But you're saying no, it's the basically you need to Sicilian max, and then you're in a good spot.
yeah, not necessarily. I mean, it's
Sicilian Max.
it's also just a health indicator to be a little bit more tanned rather than completely pale. So that's why people often prefer it. So that's another part. It could even be as simple as getting leaner. Lean maxing is a big part of looks maxing, and that's arguably the most important thing that you could do, because you can do all this. You can get surgeries, but at the end of the day,
You
if
can always be thinner, look better.
you're 20, 25% body fat, you're not even able to see any of your facial angularity or
Can't
definition.
even see your fucking dick.
You've got no idea what's underneath all of the sludge.
Okay, so you get rid of the sludge, you go on a good diet, you work out, and maybe, okay, now that's basic. Everyone, yeah, okay. You
Yeah,
want to look
that's-
better, you work out and eat better.
Everyone knows that.
Everyone knows that. Then you raise the stakes a little bit and you say, and inject yourself with things like testosterone.
Michael Knowles got to be the world's first 35-year-old boomer. I mean, holy shit.
And other hormones. Okay, that raises it a little bit. Is that it? Is that where it
I
maxes?
just can't believe this is real. This kid is spurging black-pilled Instagram posts and being taken seriously. Yes, correct.
Is out?
No, so I'm getting a double jaw surgery and
Cap, not going to happen.
a couple weeks from now. So that's probably the furthest it goes, is plastic surgery.
This is really ignorant, and I'm learning a lot sitting here.
Okay.
What do you mean a double jaw surgery?
So
You're not getting a second jaw,
no, they just perform 2 osteotomies. and
meaning like
your-
one side and the other side?
No. So your upper jaw, which is your maxilla.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And your lower jaw, your mandible. They're just doing an osteotomy on both of the jaws and then advancing them forward.
Now, why are you doing that? You're a good-looking guy.
Well, because I want to look better, right?
Why? Okay. Before I ask my next question, why do you want to look better? Meaning, look, I would get it if you looked like some mutant and you had some deformities and it was really messing up your life. But you're tall, muscular, you've got defined bone features. Why do you need to go further?
Well, I mean, you're already rich. Why are we here right now doing this interview?
Because I
turn
think
that around on you.
I like having money. Money's a nice thing to have. But I don't really like spending money that much. And so I'm happy to make the money and get more money. But I think there's more to my work
You get
than
what I'm
money.
saying, right?
No, but I think it's an important distinction.
Yeah.
I work for a lot more than money. If I only wanted to make money, I would have gone into banking or consulting or something. So I work for a lot more than that. What are you working for when you get the double jaw surgery?
To look better. And, just because you're already
To mog, bro. Like, what do you mean?
doing okay or you're well off, is that a reason to quit? Is that a reason to sort of put the brakes on? That seems a little ridiculous.
Let me ask it another way.
Yeah.
You say, why do I need to keep working? And I say, well, in part, it's to make more money, and then I can put my kids through school, and maybe I can take them on a vacation or whatever. But it's also
So I
to
can
spread
mock harder.
Yeah, he's not mogging hard enough.
to spread the ideas that I care about. It's also to raise my political influence in ways that I think would help shape the country in a good way. It's also to spread my
Who cares, bro?
view of religion, spread the gospel, hopefully convert some people.
I look fucking sick. Ziz actually speaks of this.
There are
Fuck.
myriad reasons that I would continue to work. But it would be doing the interview and doing the shows for those reasons. And so what I'm asking you is, what you already look good. Why do you what is looking better for?
So I'm someone who just wants to mog, essentially. And I've done this speech a few times. I don't really care about getting girls. That's kind of lost its novelty at this point. I just want to mog people. I want to have
He's just born to mog, bro. It's not that complicated.
a better halo effect and just better overall quality of life through my looks.
Look, sometimes a guy just wants to mog. I get it.
You know what I mean?
But this then brings us back to the spiritual point that I alluded to. I could get the looks maxing if it were about getting a girl. You couldn't get a girl, now you want to get a
Yeah,
girl.
he's coming around to it. He's starting to understand the mog.
Now, getting a girl isn't just so you can get laid. In my humble opinion, getting a girl is so that you can get married and you can have a family and you can have kids and you can be part of your community and you can, it's for stuff. I would get looks maxing if you say, well, so that I can get a better job because employers are going to treat me better and they're going to promote me. Okay, I see that's for something. But if you're saying with a straight face, even with a new double jaw straight face, you say, look, man, I just want to mog, then I would have to ask, at that point, isn't looks maxing just vanity?
I would say
Yeah. Well, to Clav's point, the more he mogs, the more money he makes, the more girls that he gets, the more attention he receives. It's an entire infrastructure predicated on his ability to mog. So if he's not mogging, he's not living.
in a lot of regards, it could be perceived that way, but that's
It's kind of like this closed loop winning system.
my interpretation of it, and that's just my overall thing. And the word mog could mean so much, right? That could mean all the things that you just mentioned.
What do we mean by mog, I guess?
The guy in the 3000 suit is pretending not to know why one would want to mog. Yeah. The one wearing a fucking, I don't even know what watch that is, but I know it's expensive.
Just live.
What is a mogger? That
A
could be Matt
mogger?
Walsh's new movie. Yeah.
A mogger is someone who's just like, I would say, the peak human. And that's kind of what
He's
I'm
a mog shark. If he stops mogging, he dies. That's right. Like sharks can't stop swimming.
going for. And that's in all metrics, right? I don't want to only mog in looks. I also want to mog in wealth.
Why mog? Yeah, that outfit took no effort there, Mike.
I also want to mog in status. Just becoming as well-rounded, like a full package mogger as I can. And
I get that.
So-
and that there's a lot that's admirable about that. But there is a part that you have left out in your total
He's
mogging
not going to mog my log. Oh, he's going to mog my log.
package, which is something we were just talking about. And I wonder if,
Spiritual aspect?
yes, does that cut against all of the other mogging? Is there any conflict there?
I don't think so. I really don't think so at all. There might be certain parts of religion, whether it be Christianity or I'm not sure if other people might be followers of Islam, that might.
Christianity is the true one. Don't worry about the other ones.
Oh my God.
Just to acknowledge, like, whatever viewers are
I got to go drain the main vein. I'll be right back. Don't mog too hard while I'm gone.
watching, but I would tend to agree with you. I'm not sure if there's different, scripture about not modifying yourself to that extent.
Well,
body's
in the old
temple.
law, you can't have tattoos, but
I'm not much of a theologian, so I couldn't speak to that too well.
there is a warning against in the Christian religion against pride, excessive love of one's own excellence, against vanity, against making idols out of the material things of this world. These are some of the, if you wanted to be the greatest spiritual mogger, I do wonder if that would conflict with mogging in all of these other areas, physically.
Yeah, they don't say anything about mogging too hard, so I'm going to keep doing my thing over here and mewing.
Terms of wealth, and elsewhere.
I could see how it could, but I don't really think that it necessarily would in my case.
Here would be one verse that I'm going to rewrite a little bit. It is easier for the camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a wealth-maxed mogger to enter into the kingdom of heaven.
Okay. Interesting.
That's the MKV version of the Bible.
Yeah, that's all well and good, Mr. Knowles, but who cares?
Yeah, so I don't really have too much regard for the spiritual aspect when I'm trying to looks max. I'm kind of all in on
This is a physical thing, bro.
on what I'm doing right now, and I'm not, necessarily advocating against Christianity. I think that there's a lot that can be gained from religion, and a lot of young men. It's helped so many people, but this is just my pursuit in the immediate moment.
Okay, so then bringing it back to more quotidian things. You said something earlier. You said, "Look, I'm not doing it just to get girls. The shine has rubbed off of that." Do you have a girlfriend?
No.
No girlfriend.
Those some soft hands there, brother.
Do you want a girlfriend?
I'm a little bit young. I'm kind of focused on career right now.
I've heard a lot of but I had my first girlfriend when I was 12. And maybe that's a little bit too young. And then I dated in high school. Ended up marrying my high school sweetheart, albeit later. And so I don't know, I never found, I've heard this from my friends where they say, I'm not focused on girls now. I'm going to have a career, I'm going to be established, I'm going to make some money, and then I'll worry about dating and getting married when I'm 30 or 35.
Yeah, no, that's another cope because people, by the time they're 35, a lot of their youth indicators have gone to, and
Dude, he just called Michael Knowles Unk. He has no youth indicators.
they haven't really gained enough progress to justify that looks decline with maybe the increase in income and that kind of thing. So I would say that's probably not a good idea, but certainly at 19 years old, for me to put, my career sort of at a halt or at least slow down, the traction that I've been gaining seems a little bit ridiculous.
Does it need to, does having a girlfriend
It does.
or it does?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Just in my personal case, I mean, I do a lot of content that's, talking to other girls or, pursuing maybe like one night stands sort of stuff.
Wait, hold on. you do content that involves
Like trying
one
to,
night. You're not a pornographer.
no, just like trying to go to like parties and slay.
Michael doesn't know anything about that.
Okay, I got it. So it's like, is it like pickup artist stuff?
No, just like
It just
testing
allows him more freedom. It's not rocket science.
out like it's basically just like a litmus test. Like, do I mog yet, or like, you know what I mean?
So, like for instance, you would get the jaw surgeries, and you say, okay, hypothesis, I am going to slay more and mog harder
Yeah.
once I have the jaw surgery. I will test this through the methodology of the party.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of the idea behind it. And also
Yeah, it's putting pen to paper.
with streaming, I stream every single day for hours. I'm on my computer all day. I really wouldn't have the time to be really an interesting partner for any woman. That's for sure.
Would that maybe balance you out a
He's a
little
live stream cell. He's just like me, for real.
bit if you took an hour a day to go get a drink with a girl?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I had an extra hour a day, I would be using it at the gym before I'd use it to go get a drink. You know, that seems a little bit.
Not just to go get a drink, but to get a drink with a girl, with a girlfriend, with a potential wife.
He's 19.
In other words, is your
You think he's being interviewed by Tucker Carlson? You're saying everyone's going to mog your mog logs? How is that a good thing? You're right. No one's going to mog my mog logs. No one.
life a little bit out of balance? Or are you thinking a little too much about
My mog logs are unmoggable.
maxing out yourself? Would it actually help you, perhaps, to
I would
take
say-
that hour?
But it's never an hour, because let's actually break it down. So first of all, you've got to identify a girl, right? Then you've got to shoot her a first inquiry, whether it be an Instagram message or a cold approach. So we're already like down 2 hours, right? That just
So
from
how long does it take you to write? It takes me a long time
to find a hot girl these days. Well, if you've got standards, it's literally 2 hours. So you go around, you find this girl, then you have to go and do an activity, God forbid. That's like, maybe 4 or 5 hours doing some jester
Yeah, as a high value man, I mean, you can't be spending all this time on women.
maxed, like bowling or what.
Jester maxed activities like bowling. Fucking painting pottery.
Whatever normie copes like Zoomers do. So that's already.
I gotta ask before we move on. What is jester
I know what you're saying.
maxed?
So for guys that can't actually get women with their looks, their best option is to jester max and just be the funny guy. That's what jester maxing is.
Like they're clowns. Like
When you go bowling with a girl? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever gone on a bowling date, but why is doing an activity with a girl you want to date necessarily jester maxed?
Yeah, I understood all that. Maybe I'm the problem.
because you're just like this. I think of it like you're this big jester, like doing these silly like activities. Like you're basically like just an activity cell. Like what are you doing? Like bowling? It seems.
What if you become
An activity cell.
just a dinner cell, which is a less clounish activity?
I'd say that's a little bit more reasonable, but
I'm totally a dinner cell, bro. I love food. Restauranting is, never gets old.
still have the same issue of the inconvenience, right? And the time, right? That's 3 hours.
Yeah, no,
of
you would
dinner.
be taking, you're right, you would be saying the time that I otherwise would be spending working out, injecting, jaw maxing,
Mogging.
time that would be entirely focused on myself, I will be taking the 3 hours or 4 hours or however many hours to focus on another person and another person with whom I could maybe build a life.
Potentially, yeah, but I would say that what's available to you and your options will increase drastically if you instead dedicate those 3-4 hours into maximizing other metrics of your life. So now when it's finally time to enter the dating market and, settle down.
The goal is to never enter the dating market. Just keep mogging and deny every opportunity that comes your way. That's a true looks maxer right there.
With that long-term partner, you're more established as a man and you've got a lot more going for you.
Okay, here's my rejoinder to that. This too, when you're talking about how you approach a girl, even that has this through line of everything's online.
Yeah, you could just mog the entire dating market. You could be top mogger and you're just too good. You're too ascended for anyone.
Your work is online, you discovered looks maxing online, you found the drugs online, you started swiping right online, and even now you're saying, well, if I want to approach a girl, I got to find her and I have to send her a DM. And I think...
Well, that's just one avenue.
Right now I'm a flu-pilled cough cell.
I also acknowledge like the in-person, like
Yes.
cold approach method.
Yes, but that's the first one that came to mind. And I think that's probably true for most people
Yeah.
today. And I think, all right, yeah, that's true. It's probably tough. If I were single today, I'd be on the apps all the time. However, I think I would. Maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Instagram mog's hard, especially like if you have a lot of followers. You're much better off there.
That's true. Although then I'd kind of worry, are they just after me for my, like maxing grandmogging,
Well, at that
or do they
point-
really love me?
Well, if you're just trying to go for like, one night stands and slay, it doesn't really matter.
I would no longer be trying to slay. I would
okay.
be trying to capture and marry.
Oh, yeah.
I would not be, I would
That's a different game. It's not in my wheelhouse.
find it to be sinful to fornication max. I would be avoiding that. So then it makes me think, all right, well, I don't have to do that now because I'm married. And I did something very strange, which is I married my high school sweetheart. We split up for a little bit in the middle, but I married my
Oh, oof, super strange. Not good. You split up in the middle? Oh, now you're a cuck cell.
high school sweetheart, which people used to do all the time. Very few people do now. And a lot of people will say, don't marry your high school sweetheart because, especially if you're an ambitious, self-improving looks maxer, your
That's right.
the pool that you can pick from is going to be so much better 5 or 10 years from now when you're in the professional world and you got some wealth and status.
Right.
I have anecdotally observed, but the plural of anecdote is data, that the best marriages I've ever seen have been people who knew each other when they were very young, and kids even, which is not online.
I just love how this conversation is just going over Clav's head because he doesn't give a flying fuck about any of this. He's just thinking, how can I mog?
Which is not about status, really, because everyone's kind of equal in school, which is not primarily physical. Obviously, you have to have a physical attraction, but you're not grading people on scales. It seems to be totally the opposite of everything you're describing in the modern dating market. But might that old way be better?
I don't really disagree with you there about the whole high school sweetheart thing because that's like a theory that we talk about called just be first in the LooksMax community. And the idea behind that is all the pair bonding abilities remain intact if you're, marrying, young and both partners
Married? What a loser, dude.
are virgins, especially the woman. That tends to lead to more everlasting relationships, lower divorce rates. I think the data absolutely agrees with you there. I'm just simply saying
He only hears when Michael says mog, max, or slay. That's right.
that in my case, it would be a comical idea to put my career at a standstill for a girlfriend because that is almost required. It's very rare that you're able to progress to the degree that you otherwise would be with a long-term partner.
Well, certainly in what you do, if part of what you do involves you going out and picking up chicks,
Yeah.
then you could not have a girlfriend while you were doing that.
Well, I also, work pretty much all hours that I'm awake.
Yeah.
So I'm an incredibly boring person.
That's true, though. That's something
Yeah.
I have to fight. That I work all the time. I don't have a real job, but I work all the time.
So I would
I'm just a fucking dumb chungus work cell.
almost feel bad, like, being in a serious relationship and just being like the most boring, awful person ever.
Well, would you be boring? No, you might work a lot. You might have to fight to make time, for your girlfriend.
I wouldn't.
But would
do
you
it.
be boring? And maybe you wouldn't want to do that. Why would you be boring?
Well, I mean, it's not really interesting when all you're doing is sitting on your computer, like doing a show all the time.
Dumb blue collar grunts don't know about that amount of work. Brutes. Yeah, they have no idea.
You're interesting enough that people watch you.
Oh, absolutely. But, unless the girlfriend wants to tune into the streams and become a viewer, if she's just on the sidelines, it's not really that interesting. I don't know. Do you agree with that?
I would disagree with that because I work
Really?
all the time. And look, it's a little different. I'm married. I have kids. I have many reasons to carve out as much time as I can to not be on the road and to not be working. But I endeavor to cultivate other interests and other desires and other loves beyond politics or whatever it is that I do, selling cigars. And this, I wonder if that is
Selling cigars, bro. I'm so over this trad, masculine, cigar maxing bullshit. Like, Okay, you're so fucking cool, dude. You smoke cigars. Holy shit. Yo, you smoke cigars, bro?
Missing from the looks maxing idea, meaning while you're
You have a
looks
thick brown object and you're sucking on it. Very sus. Inherently zesty.
maxing and doing the attendant wealth maxing and all the other stuff. We've talked about maybe a neglect of the spiritual maxing, but what about even like book maxing? What about even cultivating loves for art or culture or things that yet again are not exactly physical, which make you interesting and will make girls find you interesting?
But he doesn't want girls, dude. What doesn't he get?
No, I absolutely agree with you. It's just like, what are you going to dedicate your time to? And once again, I believe that once you start, you have to be like pedal to the metal with your career, especially these days with how competitive like the job market is and everything. So it's just about, the return on time investment for anything that you do. If you believe
What am I going to do? Read Dostoevsky in my spare time? Yeah, I'm good. I'd rather bone smash.
that you could get more value reading a book for 2 hours than, maybe learning a skill, if that's going to help you just in terms of your mental well-being, then fine. Everyone's got a different answer to what works for them. So I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. I'm just saying what works for me anecdotally.
Are you in college?
No, I actually got expelled from college. For
All
looks
right, well then
maxing.
forget my question. Why'd you get expelled from college?
For looks maxing, essentially, I got caught with steroids in
He was ascending too hard in the dorms.
my dorm room, and I got kicked out. I only lasted 3 weeks.
Wow, that's fast. I know other people who got booted from college. 3 weeks is fast.
Yeah, I'd say I probably set the record with that.
The reason I ask about college is people think today college is about just going and learning a skill and getting a job.
You know, it's weird. Trans people are allowed in college, and they're taking hormones. Wow, this is actually radicalizing me. You can be trans in college and have gender-affirming care, but when a real motherfucker comes in with gender-affirming care, he's kicked out in 3 weeks. Oh, Clav, you have too much swag. You have too much steez. You drip too hard. That's fucked up. Maybe these gyno-coded institutions, the cathedral, are just scared of ascension.
And, making a lot of money. That's really not what it's for.
And men.
What it's supposed to be for is actually not learning any skills. It's for reading old books and thinking about abstract mathematics and science and cultivating an inner life and, familiarizing your...
He isn't mentioning he got kicked out on suspicion of distributing because he had literally hundreds of vials. I'm just saying on principle here, on ideas.
yourself with the greatest that our civilization has to offer and thinking even about eternal things. And then you can go either grad school or an apprenticeship, learn on the job, do something else. But it's about the idea that there is more to life than looks and that this will make you a more interesting person, it will make you a more interested person, and that this is at least as important as how you look and maybe much more important.
I think that the actual interpretation of what college is supposed to be, like you just mentioned, is amazing. People with higher intellect going to do these studies is a wonderful thing, and that's how you have a great society.
Maybe it was just my experience, but I didn't really see the cream of the crop in college. I didn't see smart kids. I think anywhere. It almost seems like it's just a facility to pump out a diploma and then through nepotism and connections get you into the workforce, and then you just fail upwards, never taking true accountability.
But in the modern context, we're just sending everyone off to college universally,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really make sense to educate people.
Also, I didn't even think college was hard. Maybe graduate level is, I don't know. Undergrad was kind of a fucking joke.
With lesser intellect, because they don't have the capability to necessarily put these skills into practice. They're probably going to be working blue-collar jobs in a lot of cases. It's just kind of like a thing that people do now without...
And they get $200,000 worth of debt as their reward.
Yeah, so I think that college shouldn't be as universal as just like a thing that you do.
I totally agree with that.
Be like a very sought-after thing for the upper echelon, people.
But part of, yes, I agree with that. Part of what college endeavors to do can be replicated elsewhere, though, which is to make people well-rounded, to make people have multiple facets to their life. And you mentioned earlier, you said, I'm a little bit autistic,
I fucking lost brain cells.
a little touch of the tism. And I think that's true for a lot of people these days, whether we're talking about real autism or just kind of habits of mind that singularly focus people, especially men, especially right-wing men, especially online men. Wouldn't it be good to be a little well-rounded? Do you have that desire, or no? You say, no, I've picked my lane. I am the Lux Maxer broadcaster, live streamer, and I'm just going to do that to the nth degree.
That's all you need to do.
Everything else be damned.
I would say that I am pretty well-rounded. It's just I have a very different idea on what's actually important to fit that definition. So like a thing that I often speak out against is young people getting into politics.
Yeah.
So that would probably be something, I don't know if you agree or
I totally agree with that.
So that's an example. Oh, well, you're not, maybe people would contest that with, oh, you're not well-rounded. You don't have like a good grasp
I think getting into politics is a mental illness.
on like geopolitics. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's intentional because I find it to be extremely silly to advocate for young people who don't have a lot going for them. They maybe have like a very low credit score, low income, and they're worried about, foreign wars or something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that's something that I've always been extremely outspoken on.
I agree. Look, civic engagement is good, but these, for a 14-year-old to be, waking up in terror at night because of climate change or some nonsense, some war overseas, I think is totally disordered. So I entirely agree with that. But because you got into this so young, because you're still so young, wouldn't you maybe, couldn't you apply the same kind of reasoning to a young clavicular and say, hey, maybe don't get so obsessed with this one thing so young, maybe round it out a little bit?
See, if you're 19 years old like Clav, making 6 figures a month off of your looks maxing courses and streaming, it's like, well, sure, hindsight is 20/20, but like, and money may not be everything, but clearly what he's doing is working.
Well, the problem is, like we discussed, it's a now or never thing with a lot of these growth pathways. So you can either, optimize them and ascend past what was possible genetically without the intervention of pharmaceuticals, or you can just cope and never have the success that you otherwise could have.
How long is the recovery for the jaw surgery?
It's going to be about 3 weeks of extreme swelling, and I would say for 100% of the swelling to go down.
I want to see before and after. See the Chad surgery in real time. This is before and after of the double jaw surgery dog. What? None of this looks good, bro.
It'd be about 6 months. But after 3 weeks, like, you're pretty much looking how you will. Just a gradual decline in like that final push of swelling.
Have any of the doctors said, hey man, you don't really need this surgery and this is kind of gratuitous?
I feel like with these vanity surgeries that are plastic in nature, the doctors low-key encourage them because they get a fat payout. It's proprietary. It's almost like custom. It's designer surgery. So I don't think they're really too concerned with the whole health impact.
And maybe you're a little wrong in your thinking here, and maybe
women get BBLs all the time. They get breast implants, tummy tucks, get their face pulled back. I mean,
maybe there's even a touch of body dysmorphia. Mm-hmm. Have any of them suggested that?
No, not really.
So you just go in, you say, hey, I'm a big beefcake, Chad-looking guy, and I want to give you a bunch of money. How much money does it cost?
$35,000.
$35,000. Okay. So you go in, you say, hey, I'm a 19-year-old guy. I want to give you $35,000 to make me look.
Yeah, they're not therapists. What the fuck?
Look even more
Chad.
Even more Chad. And they just say, okay, thanks. Yeah, swipe the Amex here.
Well, because nobody, in a lot of cases, the double jaw surgeries that I'm talking about with like the cosmetic implants, that's an elective thing, right? Sure, certainly double jaw exists as a way to fix, horrible airways and sleep apnea, But in my case,
Disfigurement from a car accident or something.
yeah, right. But a lot of the times it would be just like sleep apnea and breathing related issues would be the main cause for jaw surgery. But that's like severe recession and severe developmental
So there is a medical application for this. It's just he's doing it for the looks maxing protocol.
issues. But most people in the
Yeah, one American dad chin coming right up.
modern era actually do need jaw surgery because they have dental crowding. They don't have enough space in their mouth to even accommodate for their teeth because of whether it be just poor development, poor breathing habits as a kid. So I would say that the majority of people would actually need jaw surgery
We're all getting jaw surgery in 26. One hundo P.
to fit within the ideals of looks.
Where does a 19-year-old get $35,000?
So
You calling him a brokey?
after I got kicked out of college, it was kind of a rough time for me. And what kept me going was how much I was working. I was working 70, 80 hours a week at a restaurant trying to afford the jaw surgery because I felt like that was my way out in life. That was how I was going to ascend and, improve upon everything.
Ascend in looks,
Ascend in every regard.
in society.
Yeah, just ascend as a person.
So you
I'm trying to ascend.
when was this?
This was in 2020, so last year.
This is pretty recent.
Yeah.
So you get booted out of college. You're working, what was the job?
I was working at a restaurant.
Working at a restaurant, and you say, okay, the reason I'm working all the time is so that I can afford to improve my jaw with plastic surgery.
Because I figured the return on investment would be comically high, right? So
I think this double jaw surgery is just his white whale. It's a metaphysical idea of perfection that I don't think you'll actually get. It's a carrot on a stick that he uses as justification in all these stories for rage bait.
you improve that much in looks, the opportunities that are
He
going to
would have got the double jaw surgery already.
be available to you will absolutely exceed the $35,000 investment.
Where do you get your certainty that that's the case?
Just what I've seen in society, a lot of anecdotes. Like we look at a lot of the come-ups for famous people. They'll get like scouted for being like famous actors or models.
Actors, yes.
Like
It
doing
is odd that the upper echelon, the elites, especially in Hollywood and entertainment, they do looks max in their own right. The Kardashians are famous for it. In fact, they ascended into fame. Kim Kardashian looked like a completely different person.
heinous. Like for example, like Jordan Barrett got scouted to be who's like one of the top like looks.
Men get hair transplants. They get their teeth done. They get facelifts.
People was scouted like, well, he's like stealing. There's this other guy named Jeremy Meeks. I don't know if you've heard of.
No.
So he committed a felony, and he had a mugshot where a lot of girls on Facebook liked him.
You guys know this guy. You've definitely seen him before. Jeremy Meeks. Remember the most handsome criminal ever? Very dystopian.
Thought he was good looking, so they bailed him out, and then he got a $1 million modeling contract. So like that's what's available to you once you hit that top percentile of looks. You could pretty much.
To his point, former model Jeremy Meeks, known as the Hot Felon, famously dated and had a child with billionaire heiress Chloe Green, daughter of Topshop owner Sir Philip Green. So, I mean, jail to billionaire, I mean.
Do anything, and your life will be easy.
Now, would you? I don't know that I'm not saying I doubt the stories, but I don't know if you would use those stories.
He landed generational wealth through mogging. Point proven.
As the model for life, saying, you know what I got to do? I got to be really hot and commit a felony, and that's my pathway to
Well, it's
success.
just being that good looking, being like the top like 0.01 percentile of men in terms of looks. It's just a guarantee for success. Like you can't lose. There's really no losing.
So I'm not sure about this. I got a few more years than you,
With
but maybe you've
social
done
media,
more research.
absolutely. There's no losing when you're that level of looks
I know
in today's day and age.
I know good-looking. Look, maybe this is generations past. I know good-looking people, guys and girls, who have not had much terrestrial success. And I grant you,
Have they tried mogging?
it's very important in show business, in broadcast professions, acting, whatever. But I also know a lot of very, very successful people in the kind of worldly way and in the spiritual way, and sometimes in both,
Is it crazy that I would rather be handsome and good looking and unsuccessful than successful and ugly? I mean, I think about this all the time. Like, would I trade places with XY? No. I mean, that makes perfect sense.
who are not even close. They are very looks moderated. They are maybe even looks minimized. And I know many examples of that. And I can think of counterexamples of like hot people. I mean, this is kind of the joke or the meme
You
is
just got to do both. You got to be handsome and successful. It's so true.
like the guy and the girl who were really hot, in high school, they don't have a
Point proven. What comes first, the money or the looks? It's the chicken and the egg.
lot of success in their lives. And, the nerd is the one who goes off to school and, becomes a billionaire. I mean, that seems to be more the stereotype.
That's just not what we're seeing in today's day and age with social media. I would say that that's probably how it was for a while.
I've seems bored of this conversation.
But now when you're just able to open up Instagram or TikTok and put a picture of yourself when you're that good looking and, get extreme success and brand deals and stuff like that.
In influencing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like a no-brainer, right? It's guaranteed when you're good looking. You don't even have to be an interesting persona to do well on social media with good looks.
Surely you would admit there are plenty of good-looking people on social media who don't get lucrative brand deals.
I would say that just like where I was, like working in a restaurant versus, achieving success on social media, like I would have done better, absolutely. So that would have been a return on investment that made sense.
Right, no, but I'm
Follow
saying
the
you're
exact
saying
principles.
you're saying looking good. If you look really, really good and you have Instagram, that's a guarantee of professional success and lucrative success. I'm just saying
If you're not retarded, if you chase it,
there are plenty of hot people on social media who aren't that successful.
Then that's also people who are low IQ as well. But I would say that that's a very rare thing. Is that even true?
I bet most hot people on social media don't get a lot of likes and certainly don't get brand.
Well, what are we talking
that's an insane statement. Of course they do.
about by hot? Like good looking? Like some people think that like Sydney Sweeney is extremely attractive.
You went viral for this clip.
I would say, I don't want to scandalize anybody, I'm a married man. I would say Sydney Sweeney is very attractive.
I would say that she's pretty malformed. Her upper maxilla is extremely recessed. Right? She's got the eyes of doom with no infraorbital support.
The eyes of doom.
She's really not that much of a looker in her face. I think that a lot of people with porn brains find her attractive because of her
Hey,
body.
I don't have porn brain. I don't know. Well, you're telling me that
I don't
that if
know.
a guy finds Sydney Sweeney attractive, he's got to have porn
No, I
brain?
think that she's above average in looks, but certainly not that like,
No, you said she's got a sunken suborbital. I forget the words that you said.
Yeah, she's got a recessed infraorbitals and a recessed upper maxilla.
You're telling me you go to a bar.
I'm just saying she's not the pinnacle of looks that I'm talking about to actually succeed on social media.
But there's a lesson in there.
She's average to above average.
She's pretty successful. Doesn't that more bode for my side of the argument?
Not
That
really.
looks is not the one.
I mean, there's two big reasons that she's hot. Let's be honest here. Two huge reasons. And she knows it too.
To one guarantee of success, even
No,
by your
because that doesn't-
low estimation of how she looks.
Well, that doesn't, argue with my principle at all. That if someone is actually the 9 out of 10 looks level that we're talking about, the top percentile, that they'll be famous. I'm just simply stating that she's not that top echelon.
So who's really beautiful?
Anne Hathaway. Oh my Lord.
Well, if we're talking about just like supermodels,
Someone that I wouldn't recognize anybody, but someone that the audience might recognize.
like we'll talk about like supermodels like, Giselle Bundchen and Taylor Hill, like the top like Victoria's.
Was she the one, Giselle Bundchen, was she the one married to Tom Brady?
Correct.
Yes.
Right. So
You think she's hotter than Sydney Sweeney?
absolutely.
No.
That's ridiculous to suggest otherwise.
No way. They're different ages, I guess, so maybe I'm grading on a curve.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this is so... It is gay. It's really gay. This person's hotter than that person. It's like playing with fucking Barbie dolls, okay? Hot is hot. Are you hot or not?
I mean, maybe like her recently would probably not be as great, but in her prime, yeah, absolutely. Blows out of the water.
Why?
Well, because of her facial harmony scores. right? There's measurements that you could take of everyone's face to figure out exactly how attractive they are. It's an objective thing. The only thing that would make looks subjective was like some people may prefer like more tanned skin versus pale skin, like we were talking about before. But even then,
No,
it's
I agree that beauty is an objective thing. So I
Right.
totally disagree with the modern conception that beauty
Yeah,
is in the eye of
a
the
cope.
beholder. I think it's a cope. And I do think, I'm with St. Thomas Aquinas, that part of what is beautiful is harmony, is harmonizing, radiance and things like that. Yeah.
symmetry. Yeah, so absolutely. So that's simply
The
what
problem with this whole looks maxing sphere is that their ideal just winds up looking like a Giga Chad if you're a man or a woman. You know what I mean? It's like hyper angular, fucking Giga jaw, perma mewing. Like, all right, dude. At a certain point, everyone just looks transgender.
I'm stating is, there might
Like
be
this androgynous, just like
a false idea of what's actually that good looking. If, Sydney Sweeney were to apply that principle, start posting on social media without acting, oh, where's my brand deals? It's like, well, you're not who we're talking about.
Now, hold on. Why did you conclude that people who think Sydney Sweeney is attractive use pornography? What is it about porn that would lead you to that conclusion?
because she has huge tits, Michael. She has a fat rack that she puts on display. She sells her body as part of her brand image. Whereas supermodels are more elite in their presentation. They're skinnier. They're less sensationalized. There's an attention to details and fashion.
I think a lot of what they like about her is her breasts and probably just her body. And that's generally like a very like gooner porn
That's a ooga booga thing.
consumer mentality.
But what about just her face? You know what? You say she doesn't have a pretty face.
I would say that she's probably right on around average, maybe
Wow.
slightly above.
Wow, okay. I would, I wouldn't agree with that. But
I think if you put her head onto just an average chick's body, she would be pretty much invisible outside of like, a third world country.
now, okay,
Yo.
I'm very curious about the pornification of it all, because this ties into what you've been talking about from the beginning, which is your whole looks maxing journey has been online. It's been
Right.
it's been revolving around every step of the way. And what is the definitive, I don't know, content of the internet? It's just porn from the earliest days.
Well, that's just the new look that you're seeing pushed by I don't know, globalism or whatever is like the thick thing, where you're seeing like all these girls who have like a lot more body fat.
Kind of late on this. I feel like the pendulum already swung back. Everyone's wearing low-rise jeans, slamming GLP-1s. There is a collective effort among women to lean max that he may not be aware of. But that's because he doesn't surround himself with women, I guess.
But their faces might be chubbier because they're gonna have more fat now in their and their breasts. So that's kind of just like a new thing that's being pushed. And
You're saying fat girls are being pushed in pornography.
no, not necessarily fat, just like higher body fat. Whereas you would see in like the 90s and the early 2000s, like with modeling, it was like a very skinny look. The face was very angular. And that I would say that
Yeah, there's a whole revival of that.
porn probably did the most damage to what's pushed.
There was a lot of porn in the 90s. I don't know. You weren't around then, but I was around
But
then.
it wasn't accessible by every 12-year-old with an iPad.
Yeah, well, it wasn't iPads, it was computers. But internet porn, look, there were
It's much worse now. Like
it's a lot worse because the internet's faster.
Like-
But there were pieces of legislation to combat this in the 90s. It was the Communications Decency Act and the Child Online Protection Act, because there was this flood of porn all over the internet. It really started in the 90s. And they both
Dude, watching porn. If you're watching porn in 26, you're not going to make it. Think about that. You're pleasuring yourself watching from a chair while touching a dick. That's really sus. That's the definition of gay, to be honest.
got shot down by judges, unfortunately. The reason the porn thing is interesting to me on this topic is it's so online. All of this is so profoundly online. And one of the evils of pornography is it reduces humanity merely to the physical.
I'm very anti-porn myself. Yeah, I think it ruins your dopamine system. It's going to give you a very bad perception
It's looks minimizing behavior for sure.
of how women are, in the actual real life, because a lot of it's just acting. It's all fake.
All a fantasy.
Yeah, so that has done a lot of damage for people, especially with the recent stuff like OnlyFans and just how widespread it is. Stuff being all over Twitter. It's really not good. And I'm simply saying that, just like the look of women has been vastly altered.
Yeah, I certainly agree, or I strongly suspect. What do I know? I haven't read all the studies, but I strongly suspect that porn
It's gay to even look at your own dick. Why do you want to look at cock? Oh my God, so true. I never thought about that. I'm gonna start looking away now. That's so true.
screws up people's brains,
Yep.
that it changes their desires and what they consider attractive. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
My point, I guess, is one of the evils of pornography is it reduces people who are, these integral human beings with soul and body. It reduces them to the physical. So it's just,
Okay, Thomas Aquinas, we get it.
meatbags bumping uglies on a screen. It's even one level abstracted.
Yeah.
But isn't that a commonality with looks maxing, which is to reduce the human person down to the level of the physical being the most important?
I would say that, it's not far from the truth, but it's just what needs to be done in society. You need to improve upon this metric.
The only time it's acceptable to look at your own dick is to admire its beauty. Be like, wow, that's mine. If your dick is mogging, it's permissible to look at it like a piece of art.
we could sit here.
Do you though?
You do? Yeah.
I don't feel like I do. I mean, listen, in my mind,
Because
I
you've
consider
achieved success in other regards to such
other regards. Are you suggesting I'm not looks maxed?
no, I would say that obviously, so anyone who does media is going to be reasonably good looking, right? So
Take it. I'll take it.
yeah, so no, you've achieved this success to such a high level that
You want me to be honest, Michael?
maybe you could make up for not fully looks maxing or not taking
He's going to have his physical identity shattered.
like the double jaw surgery route. Like, you're a huge, host of a massive show, so that status might be able to carry you rather than, having to.
Okay, but let's say that I weren't. I appreciate all the compliments, and it's great. And this is nice. I'll take it. I'll take a broad, I haven't looks minimized at least. But let's say that all that wasn't true. And let's say that I were a guy and I were, even more looks minimized. And I was fashion minimized, and I didn't have a show, and I didn't check
You'd be invisible, Michael.
certain status markers. And let's say I
You'd be low-tier normie Knowles.
were just a guy married to a nice gal, and maybe she wasn't even that good looking. Maybe let's say we had a nice family, and we had some kids, and we were living in a house that's fine, but not that nice. And, I made some money, but not a ton, and we had like a car that was okay, and we went out to dinner every so often, and maybe we got to go to the beach once a year.
I'd rather fucking kill myself. I'd rather end it all.
And by all of the metrics that we're talking about, I wasn't maxed out at all. But mightn't it very likely be the case that I would be happier,
That's fucking depressing, Michael.
more flourishing
That's normie cope.
than the richer, better looking, more
That's cope right there. Cope cringe continuum. It's so much cope, I'm cringing.
professionally successful guy? Or you say no, that's a fairy tale?
Well, yeah, I'd say that's a really nice idea, and like in theory, potentially, but that's just not what we're seeing in today.
I've seen it.
Well,
I'm not going to call anybody out, but I've seen it.
yeah, I mean, maybe you've seen it once or twice. I'm sure most people that watching have, but that's just not what we're seeing on average across the country, right?
I'm saying that, yes, I agree with that. On average across the country, I bet that's true. However, not the whole country isn't made equal. And so, for instance, if I go to an average bar in Brooklyn, I'm going to get a different sliver of society.
You're going to get an art hoe with a nose ring. She's going to have hair on her armpits. She's going to rip cigarettes. Not ideal. Pretty looks minimizing behavior.
Than if I go to a traditional Latin mass in Wisconsin.
Right.
And I guess my point is, it's kind of even silly to create an average of those things because they're such radically different types of communities. And everything that I see is that the people who are, especially who are religiously active, but who are civically engaged, who are charitable, who are not thinking about themselves all the time, who are thinking about others and their countrymen, those people tend to be happier. I think they're flourishing on way more levels of success at a higher level than the people who live in this very modern, secular, largely online kind of world. And so I would just say, if you really wanted to max out your potential, isn't there an argument to say, actually,
This is basically an argument between a turbo normie and a looks maxer.
put down the testosterone, put down the camera, put down the internet, go move to some weirdo parish in the middle of nowhere and find some nice, I've seen like not good looking guys marry like definitely hotter girls and have like a nice family and have a kind of life that isn't even considered on the table in our modern culture.
I'm sure
There's
that
just no standards to that. Like, if your idea of success in life is being ugly and securing a baddie, or like batting outside of your league, punching up out of your weight class, be my fucking guest. But there's more to life than that, like mogging.
we probably agree on most
Latin mass this, trad cath that. Get it out of here, bro.
of this stuff, like what's ideal, like, being super in touch with your faith. But at the end of the day, all the stuff that you're talking about is just idealism. It's not realistic.
I'm telling you, I've seen people do it.
Yeah,
And I regularly see people do it because I travel a lot.
I wouldn't suggest that that's.
I don't see
really
people
the
do it in
norm.
Brooklyn. I don't see. I grant you, in a lot of the country, you don't see it. But there are places where it happens, and there are communities where it happens. So don't we have to?
What happened to me? You need to understand that when people zig, I always zag. Okay. I like to wrestle with ideas of religion and spirituality, but the second I see someone embody it fully, I get turned off, and that's with any sector. Where it's too much. I don't want to be lectured by a 35-year-old tradcath pseudo-religious normie. Say me the soapbox, say me the complex. I'm good.
Consider that.
But from a sociological lens, we're looking at an entire society and the direction we're moving. So, if that's still the case now, which, you've probably seen more than me, you've got a few more years on me. But that's certainly the direction society's headed is towards what I'm talking about. I think you would agree with me there.
I would. I
And
totally
I don't think
agree.
that's a good thing.
But I would, in that case, I would say, why would you swim with the stream? Wouldn't you maybe swim against the stream or go jump into a different stream?
No, because that's not a realistic outcome, right?
Is it not?
To what? Take away all the liberties that we've granted women to sort of, cause a lot of detriment to society?
To oppose, to use this example, like to oppose feminism. I'm not saying we're going to take away the right to vote, but I'm saying,
Why?
well, listen, we got to repeal a few more amendments before we get to the ninth.
I think this is where Clav begins to ult and honestly makes Knowles look like a fool. Because somebody like Clav, who's 19, peak Gen Z, right? This new breed, forged in the fire of the internet, promised a future that doesn't exist, that's been destroyed by people who hate the idea of younger people's even existence.
But look, interesting conversation for another time. Let's say, forgetting about that, let's just say other liberties that women
He's apolitical in many ways.
or supposedly have. The liberty to promiscuity because of hormonal birth control.
Right.
I would discourage that. I think it's good to discourage that.
Yeah.
You probably can't pass a law because of a couple of Supreme Court cases, but I would strongly discourage that. The liberty to go just like randomly date a bunch of dudes in some city, I would strongly discourage that. The liberty to put off getting married and having kids so that you can go do spreadsheets at the widget factory, I would strongly discourage that. So to answer your question, I guess the answer is yes, I would discourage a lot of what passes for modern liberty.
Oh, no, absolutely. Like, I don't think that the modern world is one that I like to live in at all. But I'm simply stating that you might as well adapt to the times instead of just like, doing all these copes like political activism when this is just the way that the world is going to go and the way that it's going to continue to go. People have been trying to, turn the tides since the sexual revolution started to happen in the 70s, and look where that's got us, right? So if
Well, hold on. Everything you've been saying is all this like very manly, take control of your destiny, even so much so that you're
on an
alter your
individual
puberty.
level.
Yeah, so why can't we do it on a political level?
This is individualism versus group identity.
That sounds kind of, excuse the phrase, gay to me. To say like, oh, there's nothing we can do, like the elites just control us, we can't do anything.
That's a little bit silly to compare like starting a massive political movement rather than like individual action. That's a horrible comparison.
Why is that? Politics is just a bunch of
Because there's
individuals
a-
working together.
Because there's a lot of bad actors that don't want to see that occur. So it's not like you're just fighting against like nothing. You're fighting against people who deliberately want society to
There are a
go.
lot of people who don't want individuals to flourish either.
Right. So I mean,
How do you divorce the two? My view, Mike, I don't have a liberal view of human beings. I don't think that we're just like individuals in isolation. I think we're the political creature, we're social animals, we live together, we work together, we are inclined naturally to live in an ordered society. And so I think doing politics is the most basic, one of the most basic human
Disagree.
impulses. And so therefore it's crazy to me to hear, well, you should go improve yourself, but don't try to improve your community.
yeah, because it's a cope. It's not going to happen, right? Where
Has it not?
I mean, look at the conservative movement over the years. It's gone to absolute, so conservatives.
There have been wins and there have been losses. I'll give you an
Well,
example on the
overall, it's a
sexual
loss.
revolution. In 1973, we got this stupid Supreme Court decision, Roe v. Wade, that said you could kill babies. It was in the Constitution. And everyone said, you're never going to overturn that. It's impossible to overturn it. It's a cope if you think you're going to overturn it. You guys are wasting your time. You're wasting your breath. It took 50 years, and guess what happened? We overturned it.
Okay, now it's a state-to-state thing, right? So abortion is still very much on
Roe v. Wade, bro.
the table. So like,
Yeah, but that's moving the goalposts.
big win. You know what I mean?
It's a huge win to say that there's a federal constitutional right to kill babies, and then
Yeah, like you lost me.
and everyone says you're never going to overturn that. You guys are idealistic and ridiculous. And then we do it. We actually do overturn it, and everyone says, well, never mind, that wasn't that important anyway.
I'm now a Redditor, having watched this.
Oh, now you got to fight another battle. I agree with that. But I don't know. I noticed the libs don't seem to think that political activism is useless. They seem to think it's very useful, and they've achieved a lot because of it.
Well, I'm personally an accelerationist, so I'd like
Holy shit.
to see where things are going to go, because I can only assume that the dating market is going to get worse and worse, and that's going to probably cause people to harbor some sort of
Oh, yeah, you just went out and said it, huh?
resentment, and it's going to have a lot.
Maybe we should step on the gas for the collapse of society. Bro, I'm telling you, these Zoomers are different. There really is like an ideological gap. I don't think older generations understand how, one, nihilistic, and two, empathy minimized Gen Zs are.
A lot of like intergender issues. Again, I hope this doesn't happen, but that's just kind of what I speculate will occur.
Well, hold on. Because when you say you're an accelerationist, I find that very interesting. Accelerationism meaning, look, we got all these social problems and they're getting even worse. And so you know what? Let's just immanentize the eschaton. Let's bring it up to the end, let it all fall apart, and then we can finally rebuild something good.
Yeah.
But so you say I'm an accelerationist on the one hand, but you say I don't want that to happen on the other. Or that's a contradiction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about the resentment. I'm not talking about.
But that's part of the acceleration is like we all go to war with each other and everything.
Well,
falls
just
apart.
because I want that to happen doesn't mean I really have a lot of, hope that the two genders like have a lot of conflict, but I hope that we can accelerate to the point where we could, start to rebuild the society and the dating market, because it's only going to slip further and further. I think the conservative movement, to a large degree, is a complete joke. And I would say
yeah,
that
for a long time, I
It's true, and it still is a joke.
agree with that.
I would say that now it's probably stronger
We see a lot of performative cruelty. We see a lot of just fucking around. We see a lot of selling out to other countries. Nothing really gets done.
than it was a few years
The pendulum swings one way, then it swings back the other.
ago, but largely a joke.
You should have seen it before Trump.
Yeah.
You should have seen it before Trump. Man, it's
So
rough.
if, the stuff that I'm talking about really doesn't have, I would say it's probably more of a right-wing thing in theory, but there's really no political party attached to it. And if it is the right that's supposed to be, protecting us from slipping into this degeneracy that we're talking
No,
about.
we're in the degeneracy. There's no
Right.
protecting us from slipping. We've been in the degeneracy for a long
Going
time.
further, and if that's the right's job, I don't really have a lot of hope. That's why I'm someone who's saying,
I also don't agree with that. Like, is there degeneracy in our culture? Yeah. If you're a slug, if you participate in it. But, like, you have to recognize as an individual, you can't make other adults do things. You can't make them submit.
yeah, individualism is good.
Michael found a very quick opportunity for MAGA sloppy top. So true.
Adapt to the society that we live in, because that's the highest chance of success.
Adapt to this, but hold on, you're saying the society is getting more degenerate.
Mm-hmm.
Adapt to the society, but also don't be degenerate. You see the conflict between those things.
Who's saying don't be?
You're saying to be degenerate.
I'm just saying it's what you're talking about degeneracy and like the hypergamy stuff. It's not ideal, but I'm saying that's just how it is.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I misunderstood your point. So you're saying, look, the conservative movement has had all these failures, totally agree, and we've fallen into this degenerate society, and that sucks, totally agree.
But that's just how it is.
And but then your answer is, so, if you can't beat them, join them, basically.
Essentially, yeah.
It's kind of doomer.
Or just Mog. Just look smacks your way out of it.
Well, is it? I mean, like, really, it just seems like such a cope to be like, going to all these political action events as like your average guy. Like maybe you have this perspective because you've got your own show and you've got a lot more influence over the way that the country goes than just your average guy. But if you're just like one of the average viewers.
This guy's a left-wing plant? I don't think so. I think Clav is just a realist and he's a nihilist. I'm not saying that's the correct way to think. I'm just saying that is a symptom of our times.
Who've got no voice, who could risk potentially losing their job for saying the wrong thing in politics. I'm saying that they shouldn't really be concerning themselves with trying to change the tide of society.
Well, look, people have a voice in as much as they vote. They have more of a voice than ever because of social media and new media.
Until they get banned and fired from their jobs.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. And then we stopped a lot of that. I mean, Elon helped stop that when he bought Twitter.
Huge W. If Elon didn't buy Twitter, we'd be in the end times. Crucial event.
Still happen.
Now, I do have a bone to pick, though, because every time I go on the fucking platform and I look at posts, my new habit that I can't shake is clicking on the profile, looking at the location, and it's in India, Nigeria, Africa, or Southeast Asia. Can I block countries? I don't want to see manufactured AI slop farms from a bunch of third world countries. It's not healthy for me.
But it happens to some degree, it's gotten a lot better. And I guess my point is, if this individualism and political quietism from the right is what led us into this mess in the first place, because it emboldened and empowered the left to screw up the whole society from dating elsewhere, then wouldn't doing more of the same only make things worse?
Well, was it really individualism that caused the huge decline?
Foreigners are subverting our people. It seems like it.
And the right, I'm just talking about from
I think so.
like a self-improvement perspective and just overall like context of how you should live your life as a man. And, maybe you're right about that, but I just don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to just advocate for your average person to only concern themselves with their own.
To me, that's the big cope. I agree with many of the observations you're making about the society, but the big cope, you heard this with like the libs when they were trying to push the trans stuff and they were upset that some of us were pushing against it. And they said, how does this affect you? You're walking out, it's basically your society is Sodom and Gomorrah. And they say, well, how does it affect you if I decide I want to like castrate little kids in the school and redefine marriage and slaughter babies and sacrifice them to Moloch? And how does that affect you? You just mind your own business. And I think, how about I don't mind my own business? How about my business is my community and I have a right to enforce standards and norms that are good and traditional and conducive to flourishing? And how about you mind your own business?
But the problem is, you see what you just did there is you spiked your cortisol thinking about transgenders.
Will that max anything on me?
No, that's a very catabolic hormone. So if you're advocating...
it's a stress hormone right there. It's not good.
For people to, go around and, concern themselves with these issues or go to, like school, like board conferences and like, be outspoken about this, that's just largely going to be unproductive. And, it might seem like a doomer mentality or like, you're just going...
Hold on, Michael. You're soy jacking right now. Close your mouth. Mew. Maintain that tongue posture and come back to me.
Let society go to... It's like on an individual level, it's not going to be productive.
But on a political, right. Well, look, it's been productive in as much as, at least the trans thing, there's so many other problems. Well, at least the trans things, though, we've kind of won on that.
Well, the way that I see trannies is like, that's one more person to mug once they brutally butcher themselves transitioning, you know?
But is it, I see that.
Like, go descend yourself. Like, that's fine with me.
Because you're
Your dissension equals my ascension.
ascending yourself.
Yeah, I'm going to ascend, and this person is going to be a comical botch job, you know? So, like, that just seems like very logical to me. Like, yeah, go be a
It's almost too logical.
tranny. Like, now I mog you to death.
Now, yes, I see it. Isn't
Yeah,
that
do whatever you want. I'll just stay over here just mogging.
a bit cruel to the, like, for instance, my view of the tranny, people think I want to commit a genocide on the trannies. In fact, media outlets have written that, which is totally ridiculous.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Cool it with the anti-Semitic remark.
My opposition to the transgender ideology is that I think it's false, it's bad for everyone involved, and at a very real level, I love trannies. That's the part that's going to get clipped. But I love the trannies in the sense that they're my countrymen, they're fellow human beings, they're children of God. I don't want
Right.
them to do things that are bad for them. I don't want to like spike the football or spike my cortisol and just mog all over them.
The other day I blew a tranny. I did. Had to call up my mechanic.
I want them to live lives that are good and flourishing. And so I also don't want them to scandalize whole generations of kids into thinking they can be the opposite sex and screw up my society further. So there's a little bit of a selfish aspect, but there's a common good view, and there's even charity for the other person. Don't we have to have charity for these other people, even if they're descended trannies?
No, not necessarily. Think about all the time that you've spent throughout your entire life talking about trannies. What if you were to dedicate all that time to
Lifting weights. Benching 225. You fucking pussy.
bone smashing? Imagine where you could have been.
Bone smashing.
Is that a euphemism?
No, bone smashing?
What is bone smashing? That sounds like what the trannies do.
Now he's clip farming. He's in his element. This is where the Zoomer thrives.
No, it's where you induce microfractures, and this principle follows Wolff's law that a bone is going to grow back stronger, after you induce these localized microtraumas. So you're going to lay in your bed to brace your head for CTE, and you're going to bone smash.
You're going to lay in your bed and brace your head for CTE. Isn't that like brain damage?
Well, no, so that's why you lay in your
Okay.
bed, and that's going to grow your facial bones.
You smash, like you punch yourself in the face?
Yeah.
If I punch myself in the face, I'm going to get like a nice mewed up jaw.
Yeah, according to Wolff's law, right?
Do you punch yourself in the face?
Yes.
100%.
How hard?
Like reasonably. Like
Just your fist.
Yeah. I used to use a hammer, but my parents would go into my bathroom and take it away. So that was
You would hit yourself in the head with a hammer.
How does he know he's making a microfracture? How big of a fracture is a microfracture? That's a great question. Yeah, it would be a real problem if he made a couple macro fractures,
Yeah, I know. It sounds a little silly. Like people are gonna think I'm trolling, but this is all like on YouTube. Like you can find this stuff.
I almost don't want to ask, did it work?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, bone smashing's legit. I mean,
Dude, his parents are just a bunch of haters. Trying to looks minimize him. So true. Taking away steroids and hammer.
take a look at like UFC fighters, like their brow ridge over their career, or X-rays of their shin, and like there's massive amounts of hypertrophy in their bones.
Is that,
Or the HGH.
are there any downsides to hitting yourself in the head with a hammer?
No.
I kind of want to end it there. That's the perfect cliffhanger.
No, as long as you have proper bracing, you're going to be fine. But that's what I mean. That's just like one example of something that you could do instead of political activism. Is bone smashing.
I'll tell you, sometimes in my political activism, I would rather hit myself in the head with a hammer.
Based.
Without question.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, just dedicating your time to ascending as an individual instead of like coping and cortisol spiking about like liberalism and trannies. It's like that's just what's gonna happen anyway. Like people are retarded for the most part, and they're
You
gonna.
sound like that Indian guru in the Midwest.
Osho, who actually was retarded. Cult leader, scammer, sexual assaulter.
Said democracy is
Yeah.
the government for the people, but the people are retarded.
Right. So it's like I see all like these conservative commentators trying to, stop people from like doing drugs, and weak-willed people It's just kind of like Darwinism. It's like natural selection to me. If people want to be like addicted to opioids, like I don't think we should be spending like taxpayer resources to like build like addiction clinics and try to pass legislation. It's
We
like
should just let them kill themselves if they want.
like essentially, yeah. I mean, and you got to just focus on
So real.
maximizing yourself as an individual.
But what if maximizing myself as an individual, in my perception, involves growing in charity, and what if it involves ameliorating the political,
More cope and cringe.
social conditions in my country, and what if part of that means that I want to help other people instead of letting them kill themselves with opioids?
Well, then I would say that that's going to be a very futile cope.
You don't think you can help people? You don't think anything can improve? The Bolsheviks are about to overrun Iberia.
I don't think that I can do anything. I don't think that anyone watching can.
Michael Knowles makes me want to get back to the gym. It's this weird Christian charity maxing where he believes the responsibility is on him to shape and change and help people in ways that are honestly counterproductive. Like, you can lead horses to water, but you can't make them drink.
Do anything. I don't think it's likely that even someone with as big of a reach as you can necessarily influence.
Could Donald Trump do something?
That's even tough to say with just like the blockade you face with like, all the different branches of power and
Bureaucracy, red tape, government officials.
Let me use an example. Could we have, just hypothetically, the largest demographic transformation in the history of the world take place over 60 years in the United
Michael, how much was that suit? How about we start there?
States from 1965 onward, and then have an entirely open border that floods the country with some 3 million people per year, foreigners, highest percentage of foreign-born ever in the United States. And then could a guy come into office and, even with all of the obstacles in his way,
Nice watch there, Michael.
preside over an immigration regime that gets rid of 2 million of those people in a single year? Could that happen? Yes, obviously that did happen. That would seem to be a
2 million out of how many?
2 million out of,
How many
well, it's
immigrants?
unknown, but it's anywhere from, I don't know, 15 to 30 or something.
Right. So exactly. That,
In 1 year, it's pretty good. 60 years of problems, 2 million in 1 year, that's pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean, like this next election cycle, who's going to win? It's going to be Gavin Newsom against J.D. Vance because J.D. Vance is subhuman and Gavin Newsom mugs.
I was waiting for this exact moment.
J.D. Vance is subhuman?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
He's got a very short total facial width to height ratio. He's obese.
See, staying on topic here. He's reeling it back into pure looks maxing, forum adjacent talking points.
Very recessed side profile, whereas Newsom is like 6'3" Chad.
So JD's very tall. JD's got to be
Well, still,
6'2",
I mean,
6'3".
Gavin Newsom obviously mogs him to death.
So you're a Newsom head. You prefer Newsom to the vice president.
I'm just telling you who's going to win.
Do you prefer him, though?
Yeah, what if he actually predicts that?
Honestly, it's hard to say, but Newsom being that much more of a mogger and like having a president who's like fat
I'm just telling you who's going to win.
and especially that young,
You think I don't think he's fat.
I would say
He's a bigger guy for sure.
it's just like it's just embarrassing. Like, how are you fat and you expect to like lead a country? You can't even be in shape, you know?
So let's say you got a vote. It's 2028.
I'm voting
now
for Gavin Newsom.
You're
Just
voting
like
for Gavin Newsom.
You can't be that. You can't be that something.
So hold on. You got all right. Well, this actually is of a thread with the whole conversation because you look at these two candidates. You have Gavin Newsom,
I think he's right.
worst governor in the country.
You have the looks maxed Gavin Newsom versus the Palantir-backed Peter Thiel reptilian J.D. Vance.
all agree destroyed his state, let its main city burn to the ground because of his
I
incompetence.
think a lot of women, unironically, are going to vote for Gavin Newsom, and it actually might work.
Is a personal, complete derelict, liar, degenerate, but he is good looking. I'll grant you that he's good looking,
Yep.
and kind of looks like Patrick Bateman, American Psycho.
Hey.
And then you have this vice president to President Trump, the transformative right wing president in our lifetimes. Who do you support Trump or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got this vice president handpicked by Trump, who is extremely intelligent, very right wing.
Yeah, vote for Gavin Newsom to collapse the economy in 28. That's the accelerationist pick.
I think he's a pretty good-looking guy. I don't know, maybe I guess you disagree, but he's all these things, checks all these boxes, would have all these great policies, and regardless, you're going to pick the pro-mass migrant, pro-trans, pro-murder the babies, pro-burn the cities to the ground,
Yes.
pro-BLM Democrat.
Correct.
Because he's skinnier than the conservative vice president.
100%. How do you not see the problem here?
100 times over.
All right, I can't argue with that, I
It
guess.
just goes to show like who you are as a person, and not to
I think it does.
not to mention, you look at like JD Vance. I'd say he's probably like more concerned with like doing trips to India and like taking pictures in front of the Taj Mahal than actual politics.
Is he? I don't know. I think he's done that like once.
Yeah,
He's done actual politics for, I don't know, like a decade.
Well, the guys, and regardless of my opinion, I'm just telling you that because of the halo effect and the subconscious bias, really politics is not about like good policy anymore. It's just about like rhetoric and presentation. That's like a very like obvious thing in my opinion.
Is that true?
I would say so. I would say that
Yeah, Michael, like what is this?
if it weren't for Trump's rhetoric and charisma, he wouldn't have won in 2016.
You don't think his policies, this is where I totally disagree
Most people
also.
who vote for Trump don't even know what he stands for.
I don't
They
think
just
that's true. I don't think
he's
that
funny
gives
because he
nearly
calls-
enough credit to voters, and I think it ignores trends in the West. Yeah, I think he won because people are sick of the mass migration. I think he won because people are sick of elite economic policies that don't benefit working
I
Americans.
don't even think Trump is pulling the strings as much as people give him credit for. Perhaps he's involved. There is more executive function and shit being done. But it's really the administration and legacy bureaucracy that is entrenched in the White House making this happen.
Sold him out. I think he won because people don't like the weird sex stuff and making everything gay and trans. I think he won. The
I
consensus
don't even think Trump cares about that.
view in the liberal media is that Trump won despite his policies because he had fiery rhetoric. And I think that's total BS. I think he had popular policies. I think that's why the Brexit passed. I think that's why right-wing parties are rising in Europe. I think voters are a lot smarter than you're giving them credit
I think
for.
if Trump were to run for the opposing party and Hillary were to run for the conservative party, I think we would have had Trump
That's because Trump just wants to mock. That's right.
win as a Democratic.
That's like saying if up, we're down. I mean, what does that even mean? You're saying
it's just his
just based
charisma.
on looks.
Yeah, just based on charisma, looks, and Gavin Newsom absolutely blows Vance out of the water with all of these things. So it doesn't really matter.
And you would vote, even if you go with that premise, you're saying that's so persuasive, you would vote for him. You, who is ostensibly a right-winger, you'd vote for one of the most left-wing and incompetent governors in the country because you think he's sexier.
No, that's not really what I'm saying at all.
I thought that's what you said. You'd vote for Newsom 100 out of 100 times.
Well, because it just, and also Vance isn't really like someone who's deserving of any right-winger's vote. I mean, like policy-wise.
So you actually have like a real personal problem with Vance. It's not just that you don't think he's as hot as Newsom.
I think when you phrase it like that, it like tries to make it into like somewhat of a attack mechanism and like call it looks maxing, like homosexual. Oh, you're just like voting for him because he's sexy. It's like, no, we're talking about subconscious biases and like the halo effect.
No, but I'm sorry. When you said the vice president doesn't deserve a right-winger's vote. So now we're not talking about looks. Now you're talking about you have a deeper issue with Vance.
Yeah, but that's not really something that we would have time to discuss today.
We have plenty of time.
Yeah, but I'm more of like a looks max guy rather than
Yeah, stick to the schedule here.
a policy
So
guy.
you don't want to talk about it.
Not necessarily, but what I'm simply
I wonder why.
Mogged.
Why?
But what I'm simply stating is that this is a subconscious bias across a society of voters, and that I'm predicting that Gavin Newsom is going to win because he is objectively more harmonious facially, and it just kind of tries to take away.
I wonder if that's a bit of cope for these deeper reasons that you don't want to talk about.
What, that I don't like JD Vance?
Well, yeah, I mean, because you're saying it's all about looks, but it's actually about these deeper reasons. But I don't want to talk about these deeper reasons.
Well, we could talk about
really good looking.
Well, we could talk about JD Vance. Like, I think JD Vance, would he be a better candidate and probably closer to me in terms of policy than Gavin Newsom. Yes, but he's just not
But it goes against his looks-maxing principles. It's not hard to understand.
going to be good enough to be deserving. I think the right has kind of let down the voters for the longest time. So I think I don't really think that right-wingers should just give support to these jesters who continue to underdeliver on their promises. Just let the Democrats win. That's kind of what I'm talking about in terms of just like why I don't support Vance as a voter. But
So you're saying no, they shouldn't vote for any Republican. The right-wingers should not vote for the Republican.
Not until the right actually.
It's almost like a dirtbag left approach where when Bernie lost, they all shifted and even embraced right-wing ideas in politics because they were like, it's fucked. We had our guy. It's cooked. Except this is the opposite, and this is coming from the right back over to the left.
Wants to do the things that they are promising.
So is there a candidate you would prefer? I assume you don't actually want to vote for Newsom. Maybe you do. Maybe
No,
you are a Democrat.
no.
Okay. So then who's a right-winger you want to vote for? Or maybe there isn't one.
No, yeah, there really isn't one.
It's kind of doomer, isn't it? So now you're saying if you're a real hardcore Giga Chad right-winger, you should let the Democrats rape your country.
Well, yeah, you kind of have to. Like, that's the accelerationist mentality. Because, like, look, what is the right going to do other than just, like, a small win here and, like, maybe you overturn Roe v. Wade on, like, a federal level, but abortion
Pretty
is
big.
still allowed, like, state to state. So it's like it really doesn't do anything. It's like if these people are just going to, like, continue.
Maybe you
I feel
deport
like it's all smoke and mirrors.
2 million people. Maybe
Okay,
you
but there's still
restore some of the
28 million
American
more,
economy.
right? So until these people actually want to.
And second of all, what's the burn rate, right? If you deport 2 million people, obviously there's still going to be people coming in over that course of 2 years. So are you really affecting that much? I think the doomer take here that resonates with a lot of people is that radical change would have to happen for politics to make sense for them.
Make changes that matter, right?
I think 2 million people matters. I think
Does it in a country of how many people? Like, what do we?
330 million or so.
Exactly. So it's like this is we're not really making any progress here. So for the RNC to just demand voters to continue to show up, for what? Really, it's just that's the cope, right? That's what I'm simply advocating for until like the policies change and like the rhetoric is a little better.
How would the policies change? This is what I'm confused about is had a Democrat won, just use this past year, had a Democrat won, we would get, just judging by Biden's policies, it was Biden's vice president who was running, you would add 3 million illegal aliens to the country. Because Trump won, not only do you not add 3 million, you lose 2 million. So now you have a net change of 5 million potential foreigners who would be in the United States over the course of 1 year. And you're saying, yeah, it's not good enough. Sorry, Brett.
It's not. It really is not good.
It's not good enough. If you were to compare this in any other sector and plot this mathematically, it's not a big deal.
So what are you doing?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Fucking mogging, bro.
Realizing that society is going one direction and I'm trying to improve myself as much as possible so that I could succeed financially, so that I can improve my status and improve my quality of life.
Do you think you will succeed if your country goes to hell in a handbasket?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you hit escape velocity, you don't have to meddle with these ideas.
So, like, what are we talking about here with the immigration? It's like I'm not competing in the job market with illegal aliens from Mexico, so it really doesn't concern me.
Well, who are you competing with?
Other people on social media.
You're right. You're in this particular field. Okay. But if your country is no longer safe,
It's almost like a post-apocalyptic approach. That's a good way to put it. I do have some ideas that overlap with that. I don't know how to describe it. It's like when everything is shit, what can you do as an individual? It's almost exhausting to try and participate in a group.
Your country is no longer conducive to raising a family. If your country is...
Like, people always doom about the birth rate and shit like that. Oh, go cream pie then. Don't pull out. Go have 9 children. Be my guest. You first. I'll be right behind you, buddy, I swear. I'll get right on it. It's like testosterone is plummeting across the board. Oh, maybe for you, if you're a fucking slug. I'm in the gym. I'm lifting weights. I'm learning how to box. Like, I'm doing my part. I can't answer for the hoi polloi.
No longer the global reserve currency, such that your wealth is not quite as secure as it's been.
Oh, shit. Prices are going up. Inflation's through the roof. I'm getting fucked. I'm getting taxed. I got to make more money. It has to happen.
Past. Isn't your personal success precarious?
Well, things need to get so bad that people are just like, okay, we're fine with having like the National Guard in major cities, things like that.
Yeah.
And that's not going to occur unless people just like stop voting for Republicans who just like maybe slow down like, the progress of the left a little bit across a few elections. But they're not doing enough.
What's very interesting, I totally disagree with everything you're saying, but
Fair.
What's very interesting about it is by saying, look, not only am I apathetic, I want the Democrats to win because they're going to.
Oh no, the national debt is $10 bajillion. Somebody better pay that off.
Be
Yes.
bad because they're going to screw up the country.
Yes.
And then we'll have a revolution. It'll be good again.
Right.
What's interesting about that to me is it reflects something quite real and I think quite understandable, which is the alienation, especially among young men, especially among young right-wing men, from the country that at a very high levels in popular media and government has told that group of people that they suck for like 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
That I totally resonate with. So how widespread do you think that alienation is?
I would say that the reason that I have the success I do is because it's almost in every kid my age who in the same demographic as people are tired of, being banned on social media. People are tired of
Being called toxic.
right, the government not advocating for them whatsoever. So I would say
That's exactly why we're living in the culture that we're living in now.
that it's probably more common than not.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. But I don't know, I'm a little more hopeful about it. Like when I talk to young Zoomers all around the country, I find they're much more right-wing than they were even 10 years ago, which I like. I think they're much more serious about the political situation. I think they're grappling with real issues that previously they were afraid to talk about because they didn't want to be called racist or whatever. So I find all of that to be...
They may be vocal about their political dispositions, but I don't know if they're actually going out and voting. They may seem pissed off. A lot of these Zoomers are anti-action, low agency, and perpetually doom. And that's not us here at Third Eye Global. I need to go mog. All this screen time is very looks minimizing. I got to get out of here.